How's it going, everybody? So I've been living with the BenQ LK936 4K ST projector. I know it's kind of a mouthful. I've been living with that projector now for about 5 months. I upgraded from my Optima 1080p GT HDR projector, which I really like that projector a lot. I considered 4K for a while. The guys from BenQ reached out about 5-ish months ago and sent me a unit to test out. I've been using it as stated for the last 5 months. And the first video I made, I kind of showed how to set it up, how to get it looking correct, do the whole setup process. This video, I wanted to focus more on my experience with it over the past 5 months. So it has been probably the greatest addition to my golf simulator that I've had. Even people who have come over who've used my simulator before immediately noticed that the picture looks really, really good. So for this video, I want to kind of just showcase just how good it is. Especially with their golf mode. That was one thing that I really like about them. Unlike other projectors on the market, BenQ actually is paying attention to the simulator community and incorporated this golf mode, and it looks great from, you know, green grass courses to ocean courses, even down to desert courses. So in this video, I obviously have it pretty bright in here, so it probably is washing out the image a little bit. I'm gonna cut the lights down to about what I play it at and really focus on the detail of what this projector can do. And I'll end the video doing a side-by-side comparison against my old Optima GT 1090 HDR projector, just so you can kind of gauge what it looks like. I know it's really hard to tell from these videos, so I'm gonna move the camera up and we'll kind of go over it by covering 2 new release courses on GSPro. One is Wing de Foot, and the other one is Grizzly Point. I thought that one would be cool to kind of show because it actually has live animals. I've actually haven't played it yet, but I'm gonna be kind of demoing it in this video. So stay tuned, and in the end of the video, I'll do that side-by-side comparison of the 4K versus the 1080p, so you can kind of get a gauge of what you're looking at when purchasing a new projector. And one more thing I should mention is, if you're gonna go the 4K projector route, you definitely wanna make sure that you have a computer that can keep up with it. Obviously, if you've been following my channel, you'll see that I built this 4K PC strictly to run with this BenQ, as my laptop was struggling a bit with the 4K graphics. So if you're interested in building a computer for yourself, check that video out on the channel. And the other important thing is the screen. Now, if you just have a really wavy, you know, kind of beat up screen or a really coarse screen, you're definitely gonna lose some pixels in that texture of that screen. What I have behind me is the Carl's Place C-Series design, which is a enclosure and screen that I recommend to just about anybody looking for a sim. It has a really tight woven pattern, so you're not really jeopardizing that 4K image and losing pixels and all the different textures on the screen. This screen is extremely smooth, it's extremely quiet, and I can't recommend this screen enough. So without further ado, let's get started with this video and we'll kind of see what this thing's capable of. Okay, so here we are at Wing de Foot, basically clone of Wing Foot. Tiger Woods actually ranked this course among the hardest courses ahead of the US Open, so it's pretty cool to see this on the sim software, and come 2028, you'll be able to play it as well. One of the major highlights I will say, now this has golf mode enabled. Just look at the grass. Like, you might think I have this like kind of photoshopped over it, which kind of trips people out, but if I come over here, you can see, and I do have it pretty lit up in here. Obviously the focus I have on the screen to kind of show the details from what I see, but it is fairly bright in here and plenty bright enough for my launch monitor to still see the ball, register. This is kind of the lighting I plan, and it looks really good. I mean, if you just kind of look at the grass and like the detail of the tee box markers, the trees, like everything looks really awesome. One thing that stands out when looking at this course is they kind of like created this effect with the shading and everything that golf mode definitely captures, which is like the bunkers and kind of the terrain. Sometimes when you're playing on simulators, it's hard to tell like if it's sloped, if it's higher or lower. Obviously you can use all the data to see, okay, it's 10 yards uphill. But I'm actually gonna, this is hole 1, so I'm gonna go down to a bunker to kind of show you what that looks like. So you kind of see that shadow effect. It really kind of puts it into perspective if you're hitting uphill and what those slopes are. Okay, so here we are on Wing de Foot, hole 1. I put myself in the deep rough right behind the bunker just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. Like just the shadow details and kind of what you get for 4K. Like the designer definitely worked hard on this. Like you can tell that this hill is higher just by the way they did the shading, and with the 4K, in the golf mode, like the color of the sand just looks really accurate. You can actually see the little grains in there, so it's not just like a basic color. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, this is the big benefit with 4K. This particular projector is, I believe, 51 or 5200 lumens, and while there are some 1080p projectors that get that bright, just that extra level of detail when you're talking about projecting an image on a huge screen, that really makes up the difference. That is just kind of showing you the detail of the 4K mode with the bunkers, and again, I've just been blown away. I'm actually going to shoot over to the clubhouse now because that one's really cool to see the level of detail that they put in the wing to foot clubhouse. All right, so here we are on the 18th green of wing to foot. I'm pointing away from the clubhouse, but I kind of wanted to pan over to it to just kind of show you how you can see the different undulations. You know, even in this spot here, I can kind of almost see the terrain of how the different levels go just by the way the shading is and how the projector's capturing it. So I'm gonna pan over to the clubhouse so you can kind of see how this looks. And as I pan, you can notice out in the background, like this bunker over here, like seeing the shadow of how it's kind of sloped. Even the bench and the tower off in the distance, like everything looks really good. So let me pan to the clubhouse now to show you what I'm talking about. Now look at this. This is so awesome. Obviously some builds don't go into too much detail on the clubhouse, but this being an iconic clubhouse with like 7,200 tons of rock blasted brick, this is just honestly beautiful. Like, look at the flowers, look at all the detail that the clubhouse has, like the shading. And I actually don't have it on a cloudy day. It's just clear skies is how it's set up. But even throughout the course, like I'm sure with the right clouds at the right time of day, you're gonna see different shadows casted here. But just looking at the flowers and the detail, you can see them moving from the light breeze that I have turned on. Even this golf cart over here, this is insane, like how clear that looks. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to kind of show off what this thing can do on this particular course. Now let's jump over to Grizzly and let's see how those animals look. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm gonna be seeing it for the first time. So here we are at hole 1 of Grizzly Point. Now this course I actually had to download. You have to actually be part of TechBud's Patreon to get access to this course. I'm already subscribed to Run Pud Runs, hope I'm saying that right, his Patreon, and also the Golf Boy. Those are two designers where I don't mind paying, you know, whatever the price is. In this case with TechBud, it was $5 a month, which gives you access to this course, but it also gave me access to a bunch of other courses I didn't even know were on GSPro, a couple of which are in my hometown of Arizona, so I'm glad to see that. And again, I don't mind supporting these guys by, you know, paying a small fee. I'll put links to how to get his Patreon down below if you're interested. But here we are on hole 1. It's definitely more of an eerie vibe. I don't see any bears or animals yet, but I can hear bears like off in the woods, which is kind of cool. So I'm gonna kind of jump around the course. I'm just in practice mode to try to see what the bears look like and kind of get a good overview of what this course looks like. Okay, while on my bear hunt, I actually was kind of going closer to the woods. This is still hole 1. I'm kind of just jumping around and using, you know, the practice mode to get me to different parts of the course. But just take a look at, again, just the detail of the bunkers and the grass. Again, with the light breeze on, like the grass is kind of swaying back and forth. And then just this whole like level of detail, I can see the green back there, but just the way the shading is, it looks really good again with the sand and just all the different colors. So just had to interrupt my search for bears just to kind of show you guys that. All right, I am at hole 2 now of Grizzly Point. From the tee box, I can kind of see right by that waterfall near the back, there does appear to be a cluster of bears there, so I'm just gonna jump over there to kind of see those details. But again, just look at this tee box. This is a really cool course, like the endless pines going back there. You can kind of see the running water. And again, we see that shadow detail from the fairway. You can see the different undulations on it. So let me jump down there. Now I can hear that running water, kind of just panning around, and there we go. So easier to find than I thought, which is cool to see. I just wanted to see what details, and that's awesome. They're not just kind of standing there stationary, they're moving around and doing like different gestures. I want to take a look at that waterfall too. You got the little like, you know, steam or fog effect happening, and the rocks. Again, like with golf mode, like capturing the greens and blues, they also do a really good job at capturing different like desert scapes as well. One of my favorite courses to play on here is the Waste Management course, which is near my house. And that's actually where I'm gonna show you the comparison of the 4K versus the 1080p. I'm gonna check out a couple more holes and then we'll jump to that comparison. All right, so I jumped over to 18th green to see if there was a clubhouse, and this is really cool. This is actually a par 3, 156 yards. And I'm getting like Golden Tee vibes from this, just with this like kind of rock formation archway that you can hit probably under or over, and there's just like a bear hanging out on top of it. I'm gonna hit a shot on this because I'm curious. 9 feet downhill, I'm gonna hit a 7-iron. I'm actually gonna take aim right at that bear. I wouldn't do this normally in real life, but see if I can peg him off of there. Just start it at the bear and see if I can turn it over. Oh, oh my God, that went right by him. Yeah, definitely Golden Tee vibes here. Let me try one more. Oh, that was bladed. No. Third time's a charm. Oh, that's really cool, just having that in the way, so you have to kind of think about what kind of shot you have to hit. Well, I couldn't hit it, so comment down below if you played this. What happens to the bears if you hit them? I'm kind of curious. All right, enough messing around on Grizzly Point. Let's do the comparison of the 1080p versus the 4K projector at a more desertscape course, waste management course, hole 16, loudest hole in golf, so I can kind of show you what the difference is. Okay, so here's the first kind of example. This is the Optima 1090 HDR. Running at 1080p on GSPro Ultra, and this is just a pretty iconic course here in my hometown of Arizona. So I thought this would be a good example to kind of show you some of the differences between the BenQ and the Optima. Now, again, it's probably hard to see on video. I do have the light turned up to pretty bright setting. This is about what I play in when I'm in the simulator. So I'm going to leave the lighting the way it is to show you the BenQ in the same lighting with the same camera position and kind of go over there. But one thing I noticed immediately is looking up at like kind of the cactus and the bushes here, you can kind of see it's, you know, it's a cactus and a bush, but it's kind of blurry. There's not any like significant separation. And you see a lot of like artifacts happening, like kind of speckling around the edges. Which again, it still looks good. It's plenty bright. It's 4200 lumens with the GT 1090 HDR. It's still a really good projector, but this is just kind of showcasing the differences between 4K and what I've noticed. You can kind of see like the 16 in the background is not as sharp, and when we switch to the BenQ, you'll be able to see that. And then the other thing is the American flag here blowing in the wind. Yeah, you can see it's kind of got movement to it, like it's blowing. As far as the stars, I can't see one star on there. It's, you know, there's stars there by the way it's being shown, but you kind of just lose that extra definition. The same with the stripes, they kind of run together with that white. So that's one thing to take into account. The closer flag, you can kind of see that there's some stars being made out there, but again, it just doesn't have that same level of detail as 4K. So I'm gonna grab the camera, move it up a little bit closer, and then show you, and then we'll switch to the BenQ. You'll notice the stars and the stripes. Just take a good look at them there, and we'll do the same on the BenQ. Okay, and now we're back over to the BenQ. So you can immediately tell right out the gate, the greens are just a lot more rich and detailed. And then again, when you look into these bushes, you don't see all the little artifacts that kind of were happening on the other one. You see more clear definition and detail between, you know, like the dark green bush here and then the flower bush there, as well as the cactus. And then the 16 is just, I mean, I'm up on this pretty close, and it's just nice, crisp lines. And then again, we look at the American flag before where we couldn't even make out the stars. It was just kind of like a blue and white mix. Now you can actually make out the individual stars on the one all the way off in the distance. The one in the distance actually looks better than the one that's showing closer with the Optima. So that's something that stands out right away. And just the overall colors, like the color of the dirt and the logo there, it just looks really good overall. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna grab the camera and bring it up closer so you can get a better look. So you can just see, even down to like the little garbage truck T marks, I mean, it's extremely clear. And then you have that same flag off in the distance. Probably hard to make it out here, but now you can actually make out the stars on the one off in the distance, as well as the 16 and the GSPro logo we looked at previously. And then if we move over to the close-up American flag, you can actually see now, you can make out the stars, the stripes are a little more defined. Everything is just overall sharper and cleaner, and the colors are just so rich and detailed, and all the cactus and bush. So yeah, hopefully this hole does a good job and the camera picks it up, just showing the difference between the two and the same lighting from the same distance. And that is it. Thank you guys again so much for watching. These videos actually take me a lot of time. I'm no video editor, as you can probably tell. I kind of just started this whole simulator journey 3 years ago, and ever since then I've been able to help a lot of people build their dream simulator for far less than kind of what you see out there that's on the market today. So really appreciate it. Links to everything I use in my personal sim are in the descriptions down below. And I've actually teamed up with the guys at Carl's Place and put together a Pixel Golf package that includes the premium C-Series enclosure, a BenQ LK936ST, and the Foresight GC3 launch monitor, which those components are pretty essential in my build and what makes it look so great. So if you want to save some money on that, there's a package deal. All you have to do is add your own computer, and if you follow the channel, I actually show you how I built this gaming PC. And I have a video coming out shortly with the new turf that I just changed after 3 years, retiring my old turf. So make sure you're liked and subscribed for that video so you can see that when it hits the feed. I also want to send a big shout out to BenQ. Thanks again for sending me this projector. As I stated in my first video, it was already on my radar, just reading about it and hearing all the good things about it. But it was very nice of them to reach out to me and see the channel and send me this unit to test out. And if they called me tomorrow and said, hey, there was a mix-up and we have to charge you for the projector, after living with this thing for about 5 months, I'd have a really hard time not just giving my credit card number. We'll see you guys on the next video.